Hello there. Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised on the Radio. I am one half of the show. I am Colt Brocado. My good friend Patrick Blair, Zoomland. As usual, it's been 2 weeks.
2
We
weeks.
We did not record last weekend because you were feeling a little sick. Not COVID though, right? Not COVID.
Not COVID. Nope. After 2 years, had my first COVID test just to be safe because I felt sick because I foolishly went out to a show and had a few drinks, and then it felt awful when I woke up. So yeah, that was my fault. But yeah, I took my first COVID test in 2 years. It came back negative. I felt like my wife took extra pleasure with that swab up the nose, and she was trying to stab my brain just a little bit harder than normal. But
so okay, so those home tests, are those like considered what the rapid tests used to be?
I have no idea. I didn't ask questions. I just did it.
Don't you get the results of it pretty fast?
Yeah, like 15 minutes.
Which I think that's weird because like in the beginning, weren't they saying that rapid tests weren't near as good? Like it was better off if you got it and they sent it off or whatever.
Let me explain something to you real quick. In March 2022, I am done asking those questions about COVID. I do not care anymore. I just can't. My brain, there's so much else going on that I just can't. I just did it. I was like, all right, I'm going to be around people. I'm not feeling that well. Let me make sure it's not COVID. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, at least you have enough respect for people to do that. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't. They're just like, oh crap, a rock show. Who cares if I'm sick? We're going to go rock out.
Yeah. Which is how it used to be anyway, pre-COVID. Everyone just did what they did, lived their lives. And if I've got the sniffles, fine. Still going out in public. Yeah. So my wife took a test too. She was negative. Here we are.
It seems like do you feel, I mean, maybe it's different in the city from down here, but do you feel like there's been a turning point over the past like month?
Definitely.
Things have really slowed down, right?
Well, there is a war going on that seems to be taking up a lot of the news cycle. So like,
how weird is that though?
Well,
right. Yeah.
You know, all we need is for two countries that have nothing to do with us go to war, and then we'll forget about that pandemic we were suffering from.
Now it's on to complaining about gas prices, right? No, I say that because we went to a beer festival yesterday, and there was a crap load of people there, and a buddy of mine was there, and I told him, I was like, man, so there ain't one person here worried about COVID, is there? And he goes, nope. He said that went away when gas prices went up.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's yes. Great point. Now, did you see the North Carolina beat Duke last night? And, you know, all the students at North Carolina flooded this. I mean, thousands and thousands of people. And on SportsCenter this morning, they said not a mask in sight. I'm like, yeah, guys, forget about it. It's over. We're done with masks. We're done with social distancing. We're done. We're not going to. And I think it's funny. Did you see the video of DeSantis was doing like some press thing with students standing behind him, and when he walked up to the podium, Jesus Christ, I'm tired, man. I watched the fights last night. I'm going on 4 hours of sleep. Thank you. No, so when he walked up to the podium, he went up to the students and he said something along the lines of, "Take your masks off. They're not doing anything. I'm tired of this COVID theater," or something like that. And people were like praising that on Twitter. I was like, okay, but did you have to really do that to a bunch of kids? They're kids.
Yeah,
they're kids. And like a few of them were like, fine, I'm taking it off. Thank you. And some of them were like, no. It is for optics. We know that by now, right? Like when Biden did the address, no one was wearing a mask. And if anyone should be wearing a mask, it's that old fuck. It's all optics at this point, man. I find it funny when I watch a game, there will be, 75% of the crowd will have no mask on. And then there'll be the 10% of the crowd has a mask on, but it's right here on their upper lip. And then the rest of the percentage will be people with the mask on. But I also found it funny. Like, I don't remember what game I was watching, whatever basketball game it was yesterday. And like I said, none of the players on the court have to worry about it. Obviously, there are some players that sit on the bench that wear masks and some don't. But the kid who was wiping down the floor in between, when there's a foul, the kids run out there and they take the towels and they wipe off the floor. They were wearing masks. I'm like,
really?
Why are they wearing? Anyway, I thought that last summer when I went to watch the Indians play the Cardinals, not a mask in sight, but the grounds crew had masks on outside. What are those for?
Right.
Are they protecting themselves from each other? Well, I didn't understand. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, It's over. It's over. It's done. Unless there's a new wave, if Omicron's got a cousin that hates us, but
I guess it depends on how how long this Ukraine thing lasts, right? And if there's anything else that we can roll into, because if not, we may have to revert back to COVID. I don't know. We'll see how things run.
Well, I mean, it's like if China invades Taiwan, COVID's long gone. We're never going to hear about it again. But we won't get into that because neither one of us are prepared to have that conversation.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. But no, you were talking about kids cleaning the floor. Did you see the video? I don't remember who the teams were that were playing, but the team had made it down to the other side of the floor. And I guess it ended up being a fast break play coming back. And the kid was like out on the court with like a big Swiffer or like a big broom.
Yeah.
While an entire basketball court full of people are coming down, and he about got taken out.
Wonder how much they get paid.
Oh, probably not very much.
I knew a dude. Well, I knew a couple guys, but I had a dude that went to high school with me. He worked the outfield at Busch Stadium. The guys that sit out and right and left field. He was one of those. I never asked him how much he got paid, but then I knew another guy. He's the bat boy and the equipment manager for many, many years. And he made a lot of money.
Really?
Basically through bonuses. So he would get bonuses if the Cardinals won. And then the players tipped him out usually. But
well, that's cool.
He would make like 60 grand in a summer just off tips. He made a lot of money. I don't know what he did. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but
maybe more comes with that job than I would have ever thought. Like, I guess because you probably have to remember a lot of stuff like based off of each player and all that kinds of stuff. Like when it comes to the equipment,
perhaps, I don't know. I mean, he made a lot of money doing that job. I think like when the Cardinals won in 2006, I think he got I think his bonus was over 100 grand. I want to say.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. He made a lot of money. I mean, he got a World Series ring.
Yeah.
He has his own World Series ring, and he didn't give a flying fuck about it. Did not care, which was always confusing to me. But I mean, I guess I get it. He got offered his last time doing it. He got offered to work and this is probably, I've seen him since then, but he got offered to work the World Baseball Classic. But he was like, at that point, he was early 20s. He's like, I don't want to be a bat boy. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm trying to move on with my life. But had he worked that, he would have made like 75 grand that summer.
Jesus.
Easily, just to work the World Baseball Classic and then be done.
That's nuts.
And he turned it down. Speaking of pay, did you see that Target apparently is going to start paying their minimum wages at $24 an hour?
Yeah. And I haven't dug into this, but I'm always interested when this happens to see if like they start cutting a lot more people down to like part-time.
That's one way of doing it. Or you could just send them to some sort of customer service seminar because it's lacking. No one that works at Target deserves $24 an hour. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you, for real? Do you think the service at Target is that great?
And probably no.
Target employees should make more than nurses.
Yeah, that's insane.
Come on. Let's get real here. Target employees should make more than paramedics. That's what we're saying?
That's insane.
Come on. Meanwhile, my wife and I were talking about this yesterday or the day before, and I I said, well, I really hope they step up their customer service game because they do not deserve that money. And she's like, yeah, I know nurses have posted online that they're just going to quit being a nurse and just go work at Target. I'm like, but who wants to do that? That's a miserable job.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the customer service is so bad.
I mean, maybe. And that's the excuse that everybody gives about like, well, why would I want to work this job when I can go to McDonald's and flip burgers for $15 an hour? Because you don't want to flip burgers. Like, why? Yeah,
it's a shit job.
That's a stupid reaction to this.
Yeah, it's a shit job. And I mean, Target would be better than McDonald's. Don't get me wrong. But
so we were actually in Target 3 days ago because we had to take our little guy up to a doctor's appointment. And so when we got to the register, we had a bunch of clothes for him. So almost all of it was on hangers. And the woman at the register had to have been 97 years old. And I had a sleeping baby in the cart, and there was a jackhammer going right on the other side of the wall. the entire time. So we're listening to a jackhammer while I have a sleeping baby and a woman who is taking forever to take one hanger out of one piece of clothing when we have a whole line full of clothes. It was awesome.
$24 an hour.
That's Target right there.
I can't. Has anyone ever like, okay, so I remember one time. So I remember I went, and this was right when my son was born. I went into Target and I had to get diapers, and I could not find the specific diaper that I was supposed to be getting. So I foolishly went up to one of the fucking kids that works at Target who could not give a fuck if they're there or they're not there. And I just said, excuse me, I'm looking for this specific thing. I was like, is it possible that I'm missing it out here on the floor? Or are they really, you're really just sold out of them in the entire, and the kid, this was the response I got. He goes, where? That was his response to me. So I said, excuse me, I'm looking for this specific diaper. And his response to me, after I gave him a really good description of what it is I'm looking for, he said, where? So my response to him was, what? He said, where? I go, diapers? And I pointed, like, do you know what I'm doing? You know what a diaper is, don't you? I was so annoyed. I on the verge of getting upset. And then he walked over there and made me think that he was really trying to do anything about it. And he goes, yeah, we're out. I'm like, fuck you. I fucking, goddamn it. Get me out of this hellhole. And that was like,
it's funny because he's like asking you the question that you just asked. Like you say, yeah. He's like, where? Like, wait, what? I'm asking you where. Why are you asking me where?
You're going to pay that moron potentially more money than someone who's going to save my life.
Right.
Get out of here. You were talking about the old lady. So we had one of our old houses. We had a Walgreens by our house. And we always joked every time we stopped there, are we going to get Tom? Tom was this old white guy who fucking took his time doing everything, even talking. Hello, welcome to Walgreens. Are you? Yes, I'm a rewards member. Let's go. Speed up, Tom. Come on, man. It was so funny. And if you were in line and there was like, you're 4 or 5 deep, you're going to be there a while. We would just, it became like, we can't even be mad. It's just Tom. We would just say that. It's Tom. It's fucking Tom. Hello.
So is that just one of those, like, if you're the employer, if you're Walgreens, you're like, listen, we get it, but he doesn't miss work. Like he's always here. He does his job. It's like, because, anybody who, if you're 4 or 5 deep and you realize it's taking so long, a lot of people are like, man, we got to get rid of this guy. We got to get this guy out of here. This is taking forever. This is ridiculous.
Tom probably still works there. He's probably there right now. What time does Walgreens open? Like right now? Yeah, he's probably there right now.
I don't know. Sure.
Just taking his time opening the doors. Hello, folks. There's a guy that works at the Walgreens that by my current house. He sits in a chair at the register. And I want to go, hey, bro, stand up. Show a little urgency here to get people out of this fucking store. Stand up, get out of the chair, scan my shit, and get me out of here. You're too comfortable. What do you think he makes? What does Walgreens pay? 15, 18? What does he make?
Do they make that much if you're not like working in the pharmacy part?
Let's look it up. Yeah, he sits his ass in a chair. It's like, bro, speed up, man. How much do you earn at Walgreens? $15 an hour.
Wow.
They went up to $15 an hour in October of 2021.
Okay. So they're following the trend.
Ridiculous. Not that $15 an hour is a lot of money, but it's ridiculous for someone who sits down while they work.
Do you know, especially with your wife in the medical field and stuff, do you know anybody who's like done some traveling for like during the pandemic? And so 'cause the reason why I ask, because I got a buddy who just flew out to LA. He's been out there for a few weeks now, and he's making like $44,000 in 2 months.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because he's a paramedic. And he messaged me yesterday, and I can't remember what the pay was, but he said he got offered a job out there with a $30,000 sign-on bonus and just a ridiculous amount of pay.
Yeah.
And he's actually thinking about doing it.
Cost of living is so high out there, though. God.
That's true.
Oh my God. Yeah, my wife was telling me there was some job available recently with like I think it was a $40,000 sign-on bonus.
That's nuts, man.
I mean, in her field, they need people, so I get it. That makes sense. So he's a paramedic and he went out to LA. And how much are they? I wonder how much they're offering him in salary.
He hasn't told me. Like I said, I just know it's about 44 grand in 2 months.
But
And
he probably makes,
I don't know what his hours look like.
but he probably makes, and I'm not saying this to be offensive, but he probably makes $44,000 a year as a paramedic. Maybe, right?
Yeah, it's probably not much more than that. If it is, I bet.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Especially
ridiculous.
in our area. Now, like, I mean, because he's a paramedic, but he's actually, working in the hospital. Like, I don't know what paramedics pay in LA, but as you said, cost of living is so much higher out there too. So it may
Well, they
even
pay
itself
more,
out.
obviously, but it's
Yeah.
not, it can't, well, go to the Google again, huh? Shall we? It's a good
Most of our listeners are
conversation to
probably
have.
just got like, you guys are morons. Just
We're
Google
educating
stuff.
people. I dare someone to tell me how much a paramedic makes in Los Angeles without Googling it, unless they're a paramedic in Los Angeles. The average salary for a paramedic in Los Angeles, California is $32.88 an hour.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say 32,000 a year.
$32.88 an hour in Los Angeles is like making $15 an hour here.
Yeah.
In Missouri. Actually, 15 an hour might be generous. Well, what is the highest paid paramedic? Top 5 highest paid industries for paramedics: physician assistant, 87,000 a year; offshore paramedic, 86,000 a year; SWAT medic, 75, and paramedic, 66,000. When my dad started, so my dad was a firefighter. When he started, I believe he made $18,000 a year. And obviously, well, this is back in the 70s, but
right.
Yeah, 70s, but that's still ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Missouri has 2 of the highest paying counties in the United States for firefighters. Okay. I mean, close to 6 figures.
Dang. So the buddy of mine I'm talking about, he was actually in the Army, and firefighter was his position there too. So apparently he actually signed up to do the testing and stuff out there for being a firefighter. So he would be the same boat, like he would be a firefighter paramedic. So I would imagine he would make pretty dang good money.
Well, then he needs to move to Anaheim because that's the highest paying. The last time I looked, that's the highest paying.
Really?
Yeah. Anaheim, Orange County, I want to say.
Speaking of firefighters, did you see on the news that house in O'Fallon that blew up? So there's a contract or a company that's contracted out that was digging up. They hit a gas line twice in like 2 weeks. Well, this time they hit it, and I guess they called the police, and the police was able to evacuate a lot of the people in the surrounding houses.
Yeah.
And get those people out of the house. And from last time I heard, they didn't know like what caused it, but they said if there was gas that had backed up into the house, that the smallest little spark could have done anything. Well, apparently it just blew the house to bits.
So someone's going to get sued.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apparently O'Fallon has banned that contracting company from doing any work inside O'Fallon anymore, which is a plus, I guess.
What company was it?
I don't know the name.
To tell people to avoid them. Yeah, they're going to get sued.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They probably won't even, they're probably just going to offer some sort of fucking money to whoever. You know?
Wonder how insurance covers, like insurance for that company, because they would have to cover all that, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Definitely.
That's not on the city or anything. Because of this, well, but maybe partially because they're the ones that contracted the people out, maybe. I think.
It's on the city too, but I don't know how that works. So that's actually funny because I just had a tree cut down that was hanging over my house that I complained to my city about. It's in my neighbor's yard, but it hangs over the back part of my house. But we would be outside, and if there was a high wind, you could hear it creaking, like moving back and forth. And my neighbors moved. This was the family, the guy that stopped by when he had COVID and just decided.
Oh, yeah.
They moved, and I said to him, I go, look, man, are you planning on cutting this tree down? Like, I have a few people that I can recommend that have done work for myself and my parents. And he's like, yeah. And he never got around to it. So once I found out he was moving, I just started emailing my city, and they never responded. And then one day we just get a knock on the door, and it's a tree company saying, hey, we're going to cut this tree down tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. I'm like, oh, thanks for the heads up. Appreciate it. This was at like 3:30 the day before. So, but I asked the question, A, city, why did you never respond to me and just send someone up to knock on my door? B, if that tree were to fall, could I have complained or possibly sued the city?
I don't know. Well, I'm wondering, is it a city thing or is it on the person who owns the house next to you that tree is in their yard?
Well, it was hanging over a power line, more importantly.
Okay, then that makes it a city issue, I
Right.
think.
So if
Okay.
that tree falls on the power line, catches my yard on fire, catches my house on fire,
Yeah,
pretty good case for a lawsuit there, right? You would
I
think.
think so. So take the power lines out of it. How would you have reacted if you if you went to the guy and asked the guy if he would cut it down and he argued with you? Like he loved that tree and he didn't want to take it down. How would that conversation go?
Not
Would you
well.
be like, well, shit, and then walk away?
Oh no. Sure wouldn't. Sure wouldn't. I'd have a laundry list of things that would try to convince him, like, hey, I have a family, I have dogs, I have a house, I like to protect it all. Please cut this tree down. That's how it would be at first.
I could just see that guy looking out his back window and seeing that the part of his tree that's in your yard is on fire.
Right.
Somehow randomly. I don't know what happened, but
So there was a storm and I had to have a big branch that fell in my front yard cut up and taken out of the front yard. And while they were here, I said to the guys, I go, hey, can you come look at this? Can you like scale this one back? Maybe like just cut down the part that hangs over. And they said they could do it and they could do it for pretty cheap. So I said that to the guy and I gave him the business card and he never did it. But they took the whole fucking thing down, this company that came. So bye-bye. It actually really is really good for my house because all of that shit would fall onto my garage roof. I'd have to go, I'd be up there every 2 weeks, pulling shit out of the gutters, pulling shit off the roof. Like, I was a little annoyed that the city never responded to me, but fuck them. Assholes. Speaking of lawsuits, did you see that Brendan Schaub is suing a YouTuber for making fun of him?
you sent me this. What how deep does this go? Like there's got to be something more personal with this, right?
Well,
Is it a defamation thing or what?
I didn't look that deeply into it. I know that you can find the records, the court, they're public, so you can find them. But I want to say it's because essentially what he's saying, Brendan Schaub is saying that a lot of the videos aren't fair use, which is the easiest way to get stuff pulled from YouTube, and he's done it before apparently. So
Not fair use as in the hit, like he owns it, like it's copyrighted.
Yeah, so if you're going to use someone else's content and you're going to put it out on YouTube, there has to be commentary put over it, right? That's the way that you can keep that. So like the fair use part of it, if Brendan Schaub thinks, well, that wasn't fair use, there was no commentary, you're just simply using our content. And they have done that. Joe Rogan's done that. They've had stuff pulled from the internet, so I think that was the original claim, but I think it goes deeper. But I understand why he's doing it. I mean, the dude did say that he cheats on his wife. If you knew who the YouTuber was, so sometimes his videos will come up in my feed when he talks about people that I actually listen to. And that's all he does. Dude, but for me, if you're Brendan Schaub, why are you going to let this guy bother you? I mean,
okay, so you're saying smaller YouTuber, but are we saying smaller YouTuber or smaller YouTuber compared to Brendan Schaub? Both?
I think he has like 16,000 subscribers.
I don't know, unless it's one of those like Schaub's trying to make a statement and he's got to use somebody to do that.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's sure. He could be. But all it's going to do is just turn into more people making these videos calling him essentially a pussy because he let this guy bother him. I mean, that was the video that I sent you. It was someone else talking about it. It wasn't even.
But is that the strategy? Okay, you use one guy as this is the statement I'm making to stop it, but knowing that more people are going to talk about it, which puts him in the limelight more because any publicity is good publicity, right?
Of course. Yeah, I don't know. I think the word about him on the internet is that he has incredibly thin skin. And like I said, has had videos pulled down from YouTube before. We've talked about this before. We were kind of perplexed in the beginning at the troll casts and these guys that just simply, there are a couple of them that are it's egregious. It's like, what are you doing? Like all you're doing, like, but at the same time, we all do it. We don't specifically watch videos during our show, but we talk about other people. I mean, we all do it. And that's kind of the argument against him, is that he acts like, well, they're not content creators. All they do is just take our content and criticize it. But they do the same thing on his shows.
Right.
They watch videos of other people and then they critique them or comment on them. It's
Right.
it's what podcasting is. It's what YouTube is. That's the idea. That's kind of everyone's argument about against it is like, we all do it. So what's the problem? You just don't like when people do it to you, but you can do it. So I think that part of the argument is valid. I understand why you wouldn't want someone saying you cheat on your wife.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough statement.
However, maybe you're going after the wrong person, because there was a bigger podcast with well-known people talking about it. So maybe go after them. But I could see why you wouldn't want to get in a back and forth with people who are your peers. And I used air quotes there.
So this guy is pulling this information from another podcast.
Yeah. Like, it's
Like
not like
about
he
him?
knows. It's not like he has inside information. No, he got, so, okay. And again, this is just a little bit that I know, but so there's a podcast the three women do, two comedians, Annie Letterman and Esther something. I don't like either of them. I don't find them funny. And then Bobby Lee's girlfriend, whatever her name is on it as well.
Okay.
And there was a clip that's all over. You can find this. I mean, many people have commented on it and done videos on it, but there was a clip where essentially this Annie Letterman chick just basically said, without saying his name, said, yeah, this guy asked me to like walk him to his truck after a comedy show, and basically was hitting on her essentially. And they made jokes about it, but then Bobby Lee's girlfriend was like, yeah, he was sending me private messages and DMs and stuff, trying to get me to hook up with him. So if you're Brendan Schaub, why don't you go after them? Because I think those women know his wife. So why don't you go after them?
There's that, but also like, where's the DM trail? I wonder. Has that
I don't
been?
think she's made it public, but
Okay,
yeah, she hasn't made that public. She just talked about it.
gotcha.
And I don't know. I'm upset that I know this much about the situation, but yeah, I mean, she said it's like a gossiping, but she said that she showed them to Bobby Lee, and Bobby Lee was like, yeah, fuck that guy. He's a dickhead. So apparently it's expected with some people that he just behaves this way. I don't know.
Did you watch any of the fight companion that he did last night? You'd sent me a message about it, but I didn't know if you watched any of it or not.
2 minutes.
So he had Matt Mitrione, Josh Barnett on, right?
He did.
Huh. I mean, I know you kind of made fun of it, but I would think that hopefully it would be good commentary.
You would think. The 2 minutes that I tuned in, they were talking about cars. I was like, see ya.
Okay, imagine that.
Don't care. Don't care.
I feel like Rogan is pretty much the only one that has been able to get away with doing like a fight companion like that and not talking about the fights much. I feel like these other guys can't do that.
Well, let me say this. If his fight companions continue to have Chris D'Elia and Brian Callen on together, they will do well. Because the back and forth banter between the two of them is actually good, and it's actually funny.
Yeah.
But the problem is Brendan doesn't get to be the star of the show. Speaking of which, did you see the King and the Sting podcast that now Brendan is off to the side and Chris D'Elia is now sitting in his seat?
Really?
Again, I only caught 5 minutes of this the other day, but like, super weird, man. Super weird. No, I mean, if he continues to do that, I think they'll do well. But
I wonder if, with Schaub's always got his hands in a crap load of different jars and stuff. I wonder if maybe that's a way of like, say Chris D'Elia is going to be the new guy and Schaub's there most of the time, but there's going to be times where he can't be. And it won't be as big of a deal if he's not there, if he's not like in one of the main seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I give you my theory?
Yes.
I think my theory is that Brendan is realizing that he's not that funny and he's not that good at speaking to people. So he's taking a back seat, or someone has convinced him of that. Just my theory. But also,
I like the idea, but I also kind of think that like with his mentality would normally be the opposite. Like if people are telling him that, he would probably overcompensate and be even worse about like talking over people and having to get his opinion out. You know what I mean?
Like putting nicotine pouches in his mouth, like 4 at a time. Yeah. Real good for speaking. Putting nicotine pouches in your mouth and then interrupting people. The interrupting thing is it's astonishing. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I saw one trollcast, we'll keep calling them. I saw one trollcast talk about it. And then ever since then, I'm just drawn to it. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. He doesn't let anyone get a fucking word in. It's bizarre. You don't watch it enough to notice, right?
No.
Or listen enough to notice.
I need to watch just enough to get annoyed.
Okay, so Their most recent episode, they had Jeff Dye on. I don't know if you know who that is. I didn't know who that was. And that's why I watched a little bit of it, because I just was like, who's that? And he was saying funny things. And this is what I'm talking about, like Brendan taking a back seat. And if he doesn't realize this, maybe he needs to. But this guy kept saying funny things. But Brian and Brendan went back to their weird, we're just going to talk about cocks and men's physiques and fighting wolves and we're badass talk. And I'm just like, God damn, will you guys just drop that and let this guy just be himself? Like, he doesn't want to talk about wolves. You know, like but yeah, so I guess my question would have been to Brendan in the beginning is, why not go after those ladies who basically accused you of hitting on them? But I don't know if that's a public thing that he wants to get into.
Well, yeah. I mean, either way, like, how does he win in that situation? Apparently he's already been accused, right? So just like anything else, like, he's been accused of making the DMs. So, and we know that in our culture today, that a lot of times, if when a woman goes after a man, the man, no matter if the man can prove himself or not, it still doesn't have a good outcome for the guy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, sure. Yeah. But in this sense, he didn't commit a crime. If anything, he's an asshole because he's trying to cheat on his wife.
True.
But if you didn't send these messages and you wholeheartedly believe that you didn't do anything wrong, why wouldn't you defend yourself? Yeah, he's considered guilty at this point because he's been accused. And once accused, I'm saying this as a guy who's never sent a DM to another woman trying to cheat on my wife. So if someone accused me right now, I'd be like, prove it. I didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I would be able to defend myself. Maybe he can't.
That's a good point.
But it's fun. Yeah, it's funny that you brought that up, because I don't remember what I was listening to, but they were talking about Louis C.K. and they brought up the whole thing again with him. And they talked about how, there was this, Louis C.K. was doing some comedy festival, and there was this like whole coalition of women, of like feminist movement, that didn't want him there, and they were like protesting against him being there. And the person who was talking about it, I cannot remember who it is, and I wish I could tell you, but so the person that was talking about it kind of brought up again, like, hey, he never committed a crime. Never committed a crime. He got consent, and if he was told no, he didn't do anything. You know?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, he's got a fetish. Fine, makes him weird, but we all have them. He didn't commit a crime, so like, we got to drop this thing. But we can't. It's going to live with him forever. You know?
Right.
Because we got roped into that whole Me Too movement, and that's it.
Which you don't really see Louis C.K. in the news anymore, right? I mean,
no, not really.
I don't even feel like. I mean, I follow him on several socials, and I don't know that I really even see like his tour being promoted that much and stuff.
I think at this point he doesn't have to, man. I don't think he needs to be in the news cycle. I don't think he needs to be in the public eye. He can just do his shows. He has his fans. He was never going to lose those fans. Had he committed a crime, maybe, but he was never going to lose those people. So, dude, he's just going about his business, doing his thing, being who he is, and he's selling out arenas. I mean, it is a big deal. What I'm saying is a big deal is for those that were offended by him, be offended, but he didn't commit a crime.
Right.
Did I make myself clear, or am I digging myself a deep hole?
I got it.
And there's a lot of these guys, again, we don't know. We don't have the inside scoop, but there have been a lot of these guys. It's like, if anything, they're a little bit creepy, but they didn't commit a crime,
Yeah.
And it's that thing, like, once you're accused, good night.
It's just weird, and I'm not gonna take up for him or disparage him or anything, but it's just one of those. What he did is, like, to me, seems mild compared to probably what a lot of fetishes are for people out there that are a lot bigger name than Louis C.K. that anybody knows. You know what I'm saying?
Who are you talking about?
I don't have anybody in mind. I'm just saying that I bet there's a lot of big names out there that behind closed doors have some weird fetishes.
Of course.
But they don't get talked about because they're done behind closed doors. It's not just a random
done behind closed doors.
Well, okay, yeah.
It just so happens that two of the is it two or three, but two of the female comedians wanted a little bit of attention, and I'm sorry for saying this, but that's what they wanted, and they chose the right time to grab at that attention
in the middle of Me Too.
Yeah, They didn't say that they said no.
Yeah.
And they didn't say that when they said no, he still did it. No one's ever said that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing that everyone forgets, you know? But yeah, his shit is different than like, you know, Chris D'Elia DMing underage girls and shit, which again, all of it, well, Rogan's recovered from his controversy, right? He was at the UFC fights last night doing his thing.
He was. I would like to see what those backstage conversations look like over the past couple of months with Rogan, because I mean, I know Dana White's just kind of trying to stay away from the topic, but like there was the comment where somebody asked him where Rogan was, and basically he said he could have been here, he just wasn't. And then that was basically all. That's how far that went. And so people are just like, what does that mean? So
I think Rogan was just laying low until it kind of blew over. I think that's all it was. And I think that's what he should have done. You know, the interesting thing to me are the amount of, well, we've already talked about this, but just the comedians who have come out in support of him. But it was, for me, if it was just gross for them to be like, yeah, he's made a bunch of us money. It's like, fuck you. Who cares? What if he hasn't made you money? Do you really support him or do you not? You know, I felt like the guys that really focused on that aspect of it, it was just like, come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a gray area there because you have a lot of people who are good friends with Rogan. However, Rogan has made them a lot of money. Like their name is their name, or, you know, maybe not their name is their name because of Rogan, but, you know, for a long time, if you were on Rogan's show, your numbers are going to increase. Like it's just, it's a fact, you know, but I'm sure there's a lot of friendships that have come out of that too, like legit friendships.
Well, let me ask you this. So do they owe Joe Rogan anything? Okay, let me say this. Let me say this. Joe Rogan has us on his show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our numbers explode. 5 years down the line, do we say we owe it all to Joe Rogan?
See, that's the tough thing. Like, do we owe all of it? No, but if that was the beginning of our career, I mean, you do at least owe a nod to him. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I acknowledge the fact that you have a giant show and you invited us on because you felt like we would be good guests. That's where it ends. I don't know. He doesn't speak for me. He doesn't control. His hand isn't up my ass making me speak right now. You know, I still have to use my brain. It's just, it's very like hero worshipy. And I don't know. It's bizarre. It's like, guys, it's a podcast. You're comedians. You went on a show. You got a lot of new followers. You still got to write your jokes. You still got to do your thing. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. Maybe I'm just being a hater, but which usually is the case.
I don't know, man. When our numbers explode and we have people on here, I'm hoping that they're gonna be worshiping us. Like Raised on the Radio, those guys, they built our career.
Yeah,
just by having us on.
Yeah, for sure. I think Cody Law is going to give us a shout out when he's here in St. Louis next week and he wins. He's going to say, "Owe it all to Raised on the Radio."
Dude, wouldn't that be so dope?
That would be pretty fucking cool. That would be pretty fucking
cool. If that's all he said in his post fight, like if he just knocks somebody out and then goes to the post fight interview, it's just like, dude, it's Raised on the Radio, guys. They've given me the confidence.
Taught me everything I know. You know what's funny is I'm glad I didn't do it, dude. I'm so fucking happy I didn't do it. And I was going to go watch him fight this Saturday at the Bellator event here in St. Louis, but I cannot go. And I had a seat already. And so because I knew I was going to be there, I was going to talk a big game, dude. I was going to send him a message like, "I'm going to be there for you, bro. I'm going to be like right there. I got you." Like, I was like, "I got you." Fucking, I'm so glad I didn't do that, because if I had done that and then he goes, "Hey, where were you?" Now I owe an explanation. So I'm so glad I didn't do that. And I was really looking forward to going.
I actually almost look like a moron too, because I was going to send him a message yesterday through Instagram that said, basically just like, "Hey, we're right up the road, you know, rooting for you," kind of a thing. And, you know, just positive vibes coming your way and all that kind of stuff. And then right before I hit send, I was like, wait a second, when is the fight? Because I was thinking it was last night.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And
then I luckily I went and I Googled it and it was March. It was this next Saturday. I was like, delete. I'm going to look like a moron.
Yeah. Maybe do it next week.
Yeah.
But also he's gonna be like, "Hey man, why aren't you coming? If you're right down the road, why don't you get off your ass and come watch me?" But I'm so glad I didn't do that.
Have you? So you've been to MMA events. How many events have you been to? UFC and Bellator? Several?
No. I mean, I've been to 2 Bellator and 1 UFC.
Okay. So, okay, US MMA is an odd thing when it comes to being there. Like I bet the feeling of being there, just like any other sport, is the crowd and the sound, the noise, and all that kind of stuff. Like really gets you into it. But the visual is not great,
Depending on
right?
where you're
From the
sitting, no.
stand.
I mean, everywhere. So the two Bellator events that I went to, I had really good seats, meaning really close to the cage.
Mhm.
However, I was watching the fucking jumbotron the entire time.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Right.
They're cool seats because, like, like I said, right by the cage. And the last one I went to, when who was on the card? Rampage was on the card. Michael Chandler was on the card. Like, I got to, like, Tyron Woodley walked by me. I was like, "What's up, champ?" And he like dapped me and shit. Like, it was cool seats. Like, I'm around, like, Matt Mitrione was sitting 4 seats away from me.
Nice.
Is that right? Yeah. But anyway, good fucking seats. But yeah, I was watching the Jumbotron the entire time. The other Bellator event I went to, I was up higher. So you kind of had like that looking down into the cage, which was okay. It's okay. But yeah, this event that I was going to go to on Saturday, I would have had, again, really good seats right by the cage, but it would have been like, I gotta, like, my neck would have been hurting by the end of the night, probably, because I would have been looking up the entire time.
I mean, that's the thing too, is like with it being an octagon, there's a pole,
Yeah,
poles
it's
all the
just
way
no,
around it too. So if you get stuck behind there, you can't see anything, and like you've only got sections of the cage that you can see through. So if like you're looking straight here, but the fighters are actually over here inside the cage, you're not going to be able to tell if that rear naked choke is in unless you're watching the jumbotron.
yeah. It's, you go for the atmosphere, you go because
Yeah.
it really is. It's unlike, I mean, I would say the only other atmosphere that I would compare to it would be at a football match, a soccer match, depending on where you are. But I would compare those to, like, to each other. Very electric. Other sporting events, like, there's just too much chatter going on. There's too much of this. It's just too many distractions. Like fights, no, you're locked
Well, I
in.
mean, like, so NFL games, I would like to go to an NFL game. I mean, I've been to a preseason game and it was pretty fun. But unless you're like on the 50-yard line or have really good seats, I would not want to. Like, I would not pay the money that some people pay to be on like on the other side of one end zone.
It's funny you say that. So the last time the Browns were in town, when the Rams were still here, I went, and we were in the end zone, and it's like, this is a bummer. Like, and let me
Yeah.
just say, Browns weren't that good. So there was a lot of me looking at the other team going,
No, I
yeah.
mean, I understand, like you said, like the camaraderie and the crowd and stuff. Like if you've got that seat and you're somebody that's going to show up early and you're gonna, do the tailgating thing and all that stuff, and just it's a fun day no matter what. That's fine. But I can't talk myself into spending that kind of money to have a seat like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, football games, again, it depends on, I would sit in the end zone for a college game any day.
Yeah.
College
Okay, I
football,
take that
again,
back.
the atmosphere, you need to go to a college football game then, because the
Yeah.
atmosphere is completely different. You're locked in, because
Yeah.
there are not that many distractions like an NFL game. NFL's big business. It's a fucking, college games are different. So yeah, dude, we should do that next season, dude. Maybe fucking go to Columbia when Mizzou's got somebody good in town and go to a game, dude. It's so
Yeah,
much
dude, that'd be
fun.
awesome.
I can't believe you haven't done that, dude.
I've been to a Mizzou game before.
Oh, you have? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you understand
I
what,
mean, it's
well,
been
were they
quite a few
good at the
years.
time?
Decent.
Who'd
I
they
can't
play?
remember who. I can't remember.
Well, it
It
made
was quite
such
a
an
few years
impact on
ago.
you, you can't remember who they played. So maybe we'll go again.
It was
Yeah,
also
those.
before I was 21.
Okay.
I think. I don't think I was old enough to drink yet. I don't remember. I know we didn't. But anyways, that doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be
those are the
awesome.
things we don't think about, though. Now that we're adults and have incomes and the potential we could spend money on tickets, like, really close to us are some really great colleges where we could go watch a fucking huge game,
Yeah.
really close to us, actually. So it's like, we don't even think about that. Well, I think about it a lot because I've done it before, but I mean, I think a lot of people kind of take that for granted. Like, people say what they want about the Midwest, but there's still a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
Call us a flyover state if you want, but there's still a lot of cool shit. If you like sports. If you don't like sports, then yeah. There's the Mississippi River. And no, I was going to say, before I forget, the last Bellator event I went to, though, was cool because they were also doing Bellator kickboxing at the time. So they had an octagon and they had a ring for kickboxing. And what I did was I would leave my seat and then go over to the other side, and because it wasn't like completely sold out, so I would get seats like right by the kickboxing ring, and you could have a really good view. And like Joe Schilling fought on that card. That's when he got his fucking tooth knocked out. Oh, that was a bad knockout. So yeah, it was pretty cool. The UFC event I went to was it was supposed to be Uriah Hall against Vitor, but that got scrapped. So then the headliner was Jeremy Stevens and Doo Ho Choi, which was a great fight. So
Okay, I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
It was a good card.
So you watched the fight last night. Let me ask you this: and this is gonna sound a kind of a weird question, but like, was that picture that's floating around on social media of Kevin Holland with his thumb up while he's in a rear naked from Oliveira? Is that like a taken out of context picture?
What are you talking about?
Do you know what picture I'm talking about?
Well, why would that be taken out of context? He was saying
I don't know,
good.
that's weird. Like he's legit. I mean, it didn't even look like it was in based off of that picture.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I think he was
Isn't it weird to be in a submission like that and with a clear face and just like a thumbs up, like everything's good over here? That's weird.
I mean, it's weird if you're not a badass, but he's a badass, so he was fine. I don't know.
I mean, but how does that make Oliveira look?
You're reading into this way too. Who's convinced you that this was a problem?
I just think it's a problem. Like if you look at the picture and if I'm thinking about me being in a submission,
yeah,
right now, or if I'm submitting a guy and the guy is fine enough to be able to just give a thumbs up and smile at his corner, that's weird. Like that, I'm not doing something right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you're thinking about this way too much.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am.
I think Colin knew how much time was left. I think he knew he was good. I think he knew that he wasn't going to get submitted because of the time. And I think Oliveira did not know how much time was left. So I think he was kind of perhaps taking his time to set up the choke and really sink it in. Are people online really upset about this or what?
I haven't seen anybody. This is my own take on this. So why do you think he called out, or Holland called out Cowboy Cerrone?
Because he fought one Cowboy, so call out the other.
So literally that's a weird reasoning, right?
Well, no, a Cowboy's a fan favorite. He knew Cowboy was in the crowd. Maybe he knew. I don't know. But I think the way he did it was fine. You know how we talk about call-outs and how sick of them we are, but he did it very sort of in a Kevin Holland type way where he's like, well, I already fought one Cowboy and might as well fight another. Like, that was fine. And it got a reaction out of the crowd. And
so was the Covington and Masvidal fight as good as you wanted it to be? Did it go the way you wanted it to go?
It went the way I thought it would go.
Me too. I had a gut feeling that it was going to go that way, but my heart was with Masvidal.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was, I had like I said, I don't like how people were saying, well, if Masvidal is going to knock him out, it's going to be early. Like, here's the thing. Fine. I get that. He's got more power in his hands and he's got the potential to knock him out, I guess, more so than Covington does. But how about the fact that he knew what Covington was going to do, but he just had no defense?
Yeah.
So was he thinking about it a little too much, to the fact that he didn't go for it early? Because he didn't really, there weren't really a lot of wild scrambles and a lot of effort on his part to kind of put the fight away at any point. I think he was taking his time. He was trying to be as strategical as he could have been, but it went the way I thought it would. What can you do? It's fucking Colby Covington. Like I said, I can't stand him. He's a dork, but he's good. He knows how to win.
How do you think? So at the end of the fight, Covington called out Poirier, right? How does that play out? Do they catch weight that? Because Covington's not going down to.
No. Yeah, I mean, Poirier would go up. He would go up. He could fight at 170. He's a big guy, dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I would be interested in that fight, and I bet the lead up to the fight could be fun.
Yeah, they already got a personal thing going on. So.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Covington said that Conor fucked his wife.
Like Poirier's wife.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's such an asshole.
I know you.
I
know you don't want to go. I know you don't want to go down this road because you look at things differently when it comes to like the UFC and his star power or whatever. But it's still annoying the crap out of me that Conor's just saying he's going to come back and fight for a title. Dude, when was the last time you want to fight, man? Come on. Why are we still just giving him title fights? Letting him pick and choose what he wants because he brings in numbers. Okay.
Well, let me say this. If Gaethje beats Oliveira, Gaethje Conor would be fucking crazy.
That would be fun.
It would be crazy. If Oliveira beats Gaethje, fine. I'm more excited about seeing Gaethje fight Conor.
That would be fun.
because there is no way that fight goes to a decision. With Oliveira, I could see Conor kind of hanging in there and taking it to a decision. With Gaethje, no fucking. Gaethje's gonna.
Yeah, but I mean, so when Gaethje fought Khabib, like that was kind of underwhelming, right? Like I think we expected more out of Gaethje than what we got.
Completely.
Now,
yeah, absolutely.
So I wonder, seeing Gaethje fight Conor, I wonder if that same thing happens.
No. Gaethje fights Conor. So? He calf kicks his legs off of him until he forces Conor to do something to engage in the strike. Oh yeah, dude, I'm telling you. No, he does not fight Conor that way. Khabib's just he's just an overwhelming presence that nobody was able to figure out. So I was surprised to see Gaethje run from him like he did. I didn't understand that. I said if anybody was going to move forward on Khabib, it was going to be Gaethje, and he did not. He moved backwards the entire fight. So here's what I'm happy about. The fact that Makhachev turned down the Dos Anjos fight, has to fight Beneil Dariush. I like that because he thought he was on his way to a title shot. There's a guy, again, like I was talking to my buddy about this, like, realistically, like who has he beat? Does he deserve a title shot? I know he's on a winning streak, but who has he beat? And that's why there are talks of Conor fighting for a title. Like, first of all, who have you beat? Second of all, you're kind of boring. You bore everyone. I appreciate what he does because it's skillful and that's the way you win. But you're boring the general public. We're going to bring in the guy who sells whiskey and cruises around on yachts. That's more interesting to everyone else, dude.
It's gross though, right? I mean, I get it from a company point of view. Like, like he could lose every fight for the rest of his career, and he's still going to bring in numbers because people like Conor. But it's still like, you got to think that all the rest of the people in those divisions are like, dude, come on. Like, he hasn't won a fight in 5 fights, but I'm still sitting here at number 11,
Yeah. Well, look, I can't, dude, I'm sorry. What do you want to do? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Just want you to agree with me for a minute.
I'm not a Conor fan necessarily. I used to be.
Yeah.
He still generates interest for me. I'm realistic about it. Yeah, does he deserve a title shot? Of course not, but it is what it is right now, man.
It is. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to see like that long of a losing streak. And if he were to come in and fight Poirier again and knock Poirier's head off in the first round, Conor's the biggest star in sports history again.
Yeah. Like I said last night, and I say it all the time, imagine if he had fought RDA when he was supposed to.
Yeah.
The UFC would be different.
Yeah.
It would be different. It just would, especially if he loses to RDA. Actually, no, I don't know. If RDA doesn't fall out of that fight, he never fights Nate. You never have the 2 fights. You never have what we have. You never have Conor, essentially. It's the world we live in. Colby Covington's and Conor McGregor's. Sorry, folks. Yikes. Colby is not getting a title shot anytime soon, though.
Right. I mean, so how do you look at Masvidal now? Like, after losing to Usman and losing to Covington, like, is he kind of go down the ranks a little bit for you now?
Well, he was 6th. I don't think he should fall far. No, I don't know necessarily if he falls at all, to be honest with you. Yeah, you got dominated, but you went to a decision with the number 1 contender. Fine. He's 37 though. Like, time's running out, obviously. So he'll probably fight Nate again.
What about Covington? So we probably won't see the Poirier fight, but I wonder who he gets next.
Why not the Poirier fight?
You think Poirier would do it?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. When was the last time? Has Poirier fought at 170? He has, right?
No.
Oh, he hasn't?
He was a 45er, then a 55er.
I wonder how he would look at. I mean, I'm sure he walks around over 170, but I wonder what he would look like in the cage at 170.
He's a big guy. I bet if you put him next to Colby Covington, he's probably bigger.
Damn, really?
I think so. Let's look it up.
And that's, I mean, you're looking at 25 pounds heavier. That's a lot of weight in the cage.
He is 5'9". I thought he was taller than that. Really?
So he's shorter than me.
I thought he was taller. How tall is Colby? He's 5'11". Okay, so maybe not. They seem comparable to me, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, which is quite possible. Yeah, I don't know. If Colby doesn't fight Poirier, I don't know who he fights in. I kind of feel like, I thought about this last night, but now as I thought about it today, I don't know if it necessarily makes sense, but him fighting Wonder Boy would be interesting to me for some reason. but maybe it wouldn't be.
Covington and Wonder Boy.
Yeah. Wonder Boy's sitting at 7 though. You know what would be fun would be Colby Covington and Vicente Luque. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I think Vicente Luque would give him hell.
Yeah.
I think that's a great matchup for him. But he probably would never want to fight a guy like that. Gilbert Burns. Who is he fighting? He's fighting Hamzat. So if Gilbert Burns wins, because he's at 2, maybe he fights Gilbert Burns. Because they already said, I think Leon Edwards is next for the title. So, or if you're Colby, do you fight Hamzat?
What happened? What happened not too long ago? I guess it was within the last year with Gilbert Burns. Like was it a COVID thing or something? I don't remember. He was supposed to was he supposed to fight Usman, and then he had to bail out of the fight for.
He bailed out of the first one. Yeah, I thought it was
that
injury.
Was it injury? Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was COVID, but yeah, he bailed out of the first fight, and that's when Usman fought Masvidal the first time.
Gotcha.
Then Usman fought Gilbert Burns, which still, by the way, is one of my favorite performances by a champion in a long time. The way that he won, and just like it was like masterful to me. I don't know.
I'm sitting here thinking about how cool it would be, and maybe somebody's done this already, but like to go back, say over, I don't know, maybe in the past 15, 20 years, and like look at any fight where, especially with like top 5 guys, where somebody had to bail out of a fight, whether it be injury or sickness or whatever, and then kind of look at what the scenarios could be, like what UFC could look like now if certain fights would have happened over the years.
Oh man,
I know we always bring the Conor fight up as an example, or Conor and RDA situation, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what we think UFC could look like today.
What if Brock Lesnar fought Daniel Cormier?
Yeah,
dude, that would have been crazy. What if John Jones would have fought Brock Lesnar when he called him out? Like, yeah, tons of them.
I was pretty sure that was going to happen for a minute.
Well, I think when John Jones got in trouble that one time, they said that they were trying to make the Stipe fight happen. When Stipe was champ and John Jones got in trouble at however many times now it's been, but I think someone said publicly, like, yeah, we were in negotiations to make that fight happen, which is a fucking bummer, because that's another one that would have been crazy. I can't talk about John Jones. It bums me out.
Right. What about before we get out of here, you want to talk about the whole Cain Velasquez thing? Or is that going to bum you out?
Are we going to say anything different than what anyone else is saying? Like, free Cain, like I would have done the same thing. We're both fathers. What would you have done? Right. My wife goes, well, I would have tortured the guy. I wouldn't have just shot him. We don't know who the relative is, right? No one said, right? We don't know who it is. Is that true?
Apparently not. Apparently not. Yeah, that's what I heard.
I mean, I've checked a couple of news sources here, and they don't seem to say who the relative is. I heard someone say, and again, one of these podcasts I listened to, that it was his daughter. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't want to say who I think said it, because I don't want to. Yeah, I would have done the same.
The problem is that if it was his daughter or stepdaughter, every father out there would say, I would have done the same thing. Just sucks that doesn't hold up in court.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still attempted murder.
Get a jury full of fucking fathers and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, I guess. I also don't know what Cain Velasquez's record looks like.
Clean.
Is it clean?
Yep. That has been stated, and that can be verified. Yeah, he hasn't been in trouble for anything.
That's cool.
Apparently he's a giant sweetheart, but I would have done the same thing. Yeah. I am no badass, but I would have done the same thing. Yeah, and the fact that this is how the system works is that they let a guy like that out to be free and potentially molest. It's fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. But again, this is, I don't know. We don't have to have that conversation, I guess. But yeah, free Cain. That's all I got to say.
Dude, has that been started yet? Has that hashtag been started yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It has?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back and get some